Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and in this video, I will be showing you a comparison between two different CAT tools, one of which we have used in class, which is OmegaT, and the other is MateCat. For those of you who aren't familiar with MateCat, it is a free online open source CAT tool, as it says here. Similar to SDL Language Cloud, all you need is an internet connection to access it. So it's quite convenient in that regard. OmegaT, as you know, is a downloadable software that can be used with Windows, Mac, or Linux. And the great part is they're both free. So anybody can have access to these quite easily. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is showing you how these two CAT tools perform these three different tasks. Okay, so we're going to be seeing them both perform machine translation, translation memories, and a QA report. And we want to see, how easily can these CAT tools perform these tasks? Is it complicated? Is it quite simple? And also, is it high quality? Of course, that's going to be important to any translator or project manager. So we want to see how well they perform these tasks. Let's start off with machine translation. Let's jump right into MateCat. Okay, so MateCat, I found it through some just searching around, and it was recommended as one of the top web available CAT tools. So we're just going to take a look at this and see how well it does with a machine translation. So just a quick side note, from the looks of it, this doesn't look like your other CAT tools, right? It looks very simple, and it's just saying drop your file into to translate. But as the video progresses, you're going to see that MateCat can actually do quite a bit. It's more than meets the eye, and so we're gonna explore a little bit with this CAT tool. So let's go ahead and drop in a file here. And remember, we're going to check out the machine translation and see how well it does. So we're just going to drop in Apple privacy policy here into this section, and we're going to translate it into Arabic. Okay, so we're going to analyze first. And after we've analyzed, it's just going to give us some information about the document, how many words, and we're going to go ahead and hit translate. Okay, so here it's going to generate a machine translation. And the cool thing, actually, I won't get into the translation memory yet. That's coming up next. But here you can see recommendations from translation memory, public translation memory. And in order to, use the machine translation, it's basically already doing it for you. So, if you, as a translator, and you've used your skills as the translator to make sure this translation is correct, you can go ahead and hit translated, or you can hit Control Enter, right? So that's pretty much it. You're going to go through, you're going to make changes when necessary, and go through, and that's the machine translation helping you out. Now, this is pretty simple, right? So we can go through and basically translate as much as we want. And now you might be thinking, well, this is kind of a strange format. I mean, how I like the original document, I didn't actually show you, but it looks like this. So when I'm done translating in this CAT tool, what is it going to look like? And it's quite cool because once you have put it through the system, it's going to do its very best to maintain that same format in the next language, right? So that's pretty great. That's the machine translation from MateCat. Now let's head over to OmegaT. Now OmegaT is a little different in the fact that, just as a general overview, kind of how I gave of MateCat, it looks a lot more complicated, I guess you could say. A lot more things going on. We got tabs down here. We got tabs up here. So we want to go to machine translation, and let's see how that works. So in order to get a machine translation, your software has to know some sort of API key from a certain like a translation machine database, I guess you could say. So when I go to options, machine translation, it's giving me a bunch of different options of translation, machine translations that I could use. Now, the unfortunate part is you actually have to have an API code, kind of how we've used in class. You have to have one of those accessible to be able to use these machine translations, okay? I really wanted to try this out. I watched videos on how to get these API keys. I could not get one, but assuming that that isn't an issue, I mean, technically that could play into the user friendliness of this software. I mean, the other one, I didn't have to do anything. All right. The translation the translation memory and the machine translation is already ready to go. So I didn't really have to do much. But here I'm going to have to get the API key, assuming that's not an issue. So I don't have it, but assuming I did, what you would see is once I come across the sections, you will see a machine translation. It will say Google Translate, just like it does here. So right here, it's telling me I don't have the API key. But if I did, it would tell me, it would spit out a machine translation of this segment that I have. And then you can go ahead and go, you can insert machine translation. Oh, sorry, replace with machine translation or Control M. So assuming I had something here, I can go Control M, Control M, Control M, and it would start translating this. And as I said before, with the other cat tool, you're going to have to go through with your own translation skills and make sure that the machine is doing it right, or just work with the machine rather than let the machine do all the work. Okay, so that's basically the overview with both machine translations in both systems there, in both cat tools. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about translation memory. And translation memory obviously feeds quite well into your machine translation. So let's go back here. And in MateCat, this is really interesting. So as I mentioned before, the other, let's see here. Where am I looking? Okay, here it is, machine translation. So here's machine translation. It will tell you automatically that it's got Google and Microsoft Translator. And this is actually kind of a big deal because, at least from my understanding, this isn't something that comes with every software, right? As we saw with OmegaT, you have to go and find those API codes, and so that's quite an issue. But this one already has those two in it and ready to go. Okay, so as far as translation memory with MateCat is quite easy. If you want to make one, you just go into this aligner tool, and you guys have done this before in class. So you go ahead and boom, pop in the language, source text, target text, assuming you have both. So we'll just do real quick here. I think this is actually in Czech. There it is. Okay. Boom. Dropping it in. Start aligning. Okay, so, and here is my pair. Here's my translation memory. It's created. And here's download TMX. So that was fairly simple, pretty straightforward. It has all that ready to go. And OmegaT, it can do the same thing. You go to tools, align files, and it's basically the same process. I'm not going to go through and have it do everything, but that's basically the exact same thing as the other one. Now, what's cool about MateCat is that it is using a a public translation memory at all times. So I don't know if you noticed, but when I was going through and translating, it was giving me recommendations from translation memory, or like it was showing me. Whoops, I think I might have it open twice or something. But let's see here. Okay, so just an example. So here's some translation memory. It's giving me different, sometimes it does, maybe not on this specific example, but I've seen it in several occasions where it will spit out different sentences, and it just from different matches. Maybe this specific thing and into Arabic might be a little less common, so that's why I'm not getting many recommendations from the translation memory. But that's just another side note that MateCat is using a public translation memory, and it claims to have millions of different translation memories. And you can add your own. I think I showed that here. Yep, you can import a TMX right there. So that's one thing you can do. And of course, you can do it with OmegaT as well. Go ahead and just put in your translation memory. We've done that in class. So that's, both of those I would say are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And the last but not least is our QA report. Now a QA report with our friend MateCat here is quite simple as well. So I'm actually going to go back into this. And so what you can do is after you've translated something, you can just go over here and click revise. Okay. So after you're in the revision mode, see now if you go back, it's going to go back to translate. So now we know we're in revision. So first of all, you can start by leaving a comment, if you don't like this translation, you'd be like, this is a terrible translation. And you can also leave little notes about, there's a translation error, mistranslation. It's small or big errors, minor, major. And so you can go on in this way and go ahead and make corrections or QA to the translation that's already been done. Now, with MateCat, you can create a QA report. Okay, so you can create a QA report here in MateCat. It will give you, all the errors, if it passed or failed, etc. But I found that this process was quite a bit more difficult here in OmegaT. If we're going to try to do that same thing here in OmegaT, I did find ways to kind of fix or edit different errors in the translation. It does pick up a lot of those for you, spell checks, same segment, stuff like that. But I didn't find a way to create a QA report. But just from what I was able to find here, I'll show you the different ways you can kind of go through a QA type of process. So first of all, if you were just to download this software, from 1 to 12, it would just say none. And this is where all the QA stuff happens. So you're actually going to have to go in. I've added these 3 myself. You have to go into scripting, and you're going to have to go in and add these yourself. So like say you wanted to add, I don't know, just say you wanted to add an external spell check. Okay. So you're going to have to go to 4 and add script. So now that's going to add that to your tab. Not a big deal. Oops. Not a big deal. Not hard to do. So now when I go back, there it is. But it's just slightly annoying, I guess, and slightly less user-friendly than the other one. It just has everything ready to go. But, these things can be useful here as well. It will show you, oh, hey, you have different punctuation. You started a different start case or this one's shorter than that one. It will give you different recommendations like that. So that can be helpful as well.